Hello Ranger Point Precision friends and family, and a special howdy to all you space cowboys. In today's video we're going to be installing the light and loading gate for the Smith & Wesson 1854. Now this one I chose red anodized just because I wanted to accent this thing just a little bit. Also in this video, by the time we take this apart, we're going to go ahead and slide our buttstock on here. We're going to put down a quick takedown screw on here and just throw a Comet muzzle brake on here. Very simple, easy to do, and in this video we'll show you how to do it. If you have any issues in this video, please use the contact form at the top of the website or hit us up at support@rangerpointprecision.com. We try to answer emails 7 days a week. Sometimes we're asleep, but we try to get you taken care of. If you don't get an answer, check your spam folder. But now, the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to open the action. We're going to check this firearm, make sure that it is not loaded and that we have no ammunition on the bench or within our wingspan, because we owe that to ourselves and those around us. Let's jump right into this. Tools for this install are rather simple. We need a T20 Torx bit and a T7 Torx bit. And if you choose to use bits, then we're going to need a twirly McGig. So get whatever corresponding twirly McGig that you need to do this. First thing we're going to do is remove the screw from the rear tang here. This retains our buttstock. It is simply lefty-loosey. Give that dude a pull, set him aside, reach in here, give it a wiggle. These things are compressed on, so sometimes they're a little tough to get off of there, but you just keep wiggling it and it will slide out of the way. There we go. Now, let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of this. We've already established that the firearm is unloaded. It's always good to double check. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take our T20 yet again, and we're going to go in here to our lever takedown screw, and we're going to go ahead and lefty-loosey this takedown screw. Notice this orientation of how the lever is. That angle is really conducive to taking this apart. So let's go ahead and set that takedown screw aside. We don't want to lose it. Usually what I like to do is when I remove my lever, just pop it in there like that. That way it's not rolling off. And then also, as for not rolling off, you can place parts in your lever loop. It makes a good little holder there. What we're going to do is we're going to push our bolt forward. We do not need to remove the bolt for this. Now we're going to need to relax our hammer. You see how our hammer is laid back? What we're going to do is we're going to take our tip of our T20 here, and we're just going to push on this little black plunger here. That little black plunger is normally what the lever pushes on, and that is a safety that only allows the hammer to fall when the lever is fully closed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to remove this stirrup right here, and this is all under spring pressure, so make sure not to let anything fly. We're going to take our hammer spring and our stirrup. Again, we're going to place those in our lever loop as a nice little way to keep everything together. And we're going to go ahead and jump in here and remove our trigger guard plate. Trigger guard plate is held in place by this screw. We'll go ahead and remove this one. It is lefty-loosey. And remember, that screw looks just like this. We'll need that to go back here shortly. Let's go ahead and roll this over. Let's remove this screw from the back side. That one must have some decent Loctite on it. That one's getting a pretty good bite in there. So there is that screw. It is slightly shorter than the front screw. So just to compare there, this is the screw that goes in the back side. This is the screw that goes in the underneath and the front. Now let's roll this dude over and let's get our hammer screw. Lefty-loosey on this one as well. So let's go ahead and pull that out, and everything just kind of went boonk. So let's take our trigger guard plate out, set this thing down here, and let's remove our hammer. Hammer is going to come out of the top here. Now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and remove our locking lug. Let's get that out of the way. Notice that this monkey paw faced toward the rear of the receiver, and of course it's keyed to where it'll only go in one way. So let's set this aside. Now let's drop our carrier out just like that. You saw all I had to do is shake it and it fell out. this is going to be the next screw that we remove. A T7 in its selected twirly-magig. You can use whatever combination of tools you want. Of course, this is lefty-loosey. And our loading gate comes out like this. So the factory loading gate just simply drops right out. Now, we're going to need our pretty new one. Let's go ahead and remove this from the package. Now, I chose red just because I wanted an accent. You do not have to choose red. You could choose black or whatever other colors you may find on the website. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the screw up and out of here, because what I like to do is I like to align this hole right here with the hole in the receiver before I go to screw it in, because you do not want to cross thread this. Cross threading this would ruin your loading gate, and that's not going to make for a good day. So simply enough, I'm going to poke this up in here. I'm going to get it in that groove, and right there I can see that we're centered. I hope you can see that on the camera there. So now let's take our factory Torx screw here. Let's get our T7 with our twirly-gig. Let's go ahead and give this a couple of twists down in here. And I felt it just pull that loading gate right into place, which is great. Optionally, you could use Loctite, but honestly, there's Loctite already on that screw. Now it's time to go back. Let's go ahead and push our carrier right back up in there. We'll set that there down. Let's go ahead and get our locking lug. Remember, this locking lug, the monkey paw, faces the rear. So the locking lug is going to go back up in here. Push that there. All right, so at this moment, I need you to look at this trigger guard. For some reason, guys really freak out in the Marlin trigger installation video when the trigger goes forward. This being a clone of the Marlin, your trigger is going to go forward like that. So don't be freaking out. Don't go nuts. Once you get this in place, your trigger will actually be relaxed like it normally is and not dog leg forward. So like I said, don't freak out. No need to send emails or go crazy. So let's go ahead and get this in place. And this is, of course, a little bit of a tight fit. Once you get it there, it'll go. So we're going to align this up so that our hole is aligned up. Now let's take our hammer and the rod here. We're going to come into the back of the receiver. We're going to go ahead and push this thing down and orient that rod rearward. Now we're going to align everything up. And then what you're going to notice is our trigger just went back to being straight. So like I said earlier, no reason to freak out. No reason to go nuts. Now all we're going to have to do is just hold our tongues just right, and everything will fall into place. So there that went, fell right into place. So we're going to take our T20 and let's go ahead and run this home. It's righty-tighty. There is Loctite on there from the factory on that backside, so you don't really have to worry about Loctite. Now we're going to take our two screws that hold our trigger guard plate into place. We do remember that, if we can get this to focus, the longer screw goes in the front, the shorter screw goes in the back. So we're going to take our longer screw, it goes right here in the front of the trigger guard plate. We're going to take our T20, we're going to give this dude some twirls until he pulls down. Boom. We're going to flip this over. We're going to put our shorter screw right here in the back side. Take our T20, give that dude a few twirls until he bottoms out. Now, of course, at any time, if you feel like anything is being forced, stop. You do not want to cross thread anything in your gun. Now, at this point, we're going to take our hammer spring. This is a beehive type spring. We're going to slide it onto the rod here. Then we're going to take our stirrup. Now our stirrup will go right into place, and I've actually got you a really cool tip. Take a hollow shaft like this one right here. It's a 1/4 inch, and what you'll do is you'll put your little stirrup on here. You put your guide rod through that hole. You hold it like this. So all you're doing is holding it right there with that front finger. Then what you'll do is you push forward and snap that dude right into place. That would have been just a little bit easier, but I had it in half cock. But that was my fault. I should have had the hammer all the way down, but we're still successful. Let's go back with the lever and the lever takedown screw. So remember, we're going to go back in with the lever about here. What that's going to require is pushing our bolt back just a little bit. I usually stop right about there where it touches the hammer. That way you can just slide your lever up in there. That finger just comes right into the front of that bolt. There goes our takedown screw. Now we're going to take our T20 and our twirly-magig, give her a little spin there, and boom. Now what we need to do is just simply check for at function. There we are. We're good to go. Now, if you want to, you can take and put your factory Smith & Wesson 1854 buttstock back on. But what I'm going to wind up doing is I'm going to put on the Ranger Point Precision buttstock. We've got a skeletonized mod stock here. We've got an accessory panel that has a QD pocket for a sling. We've got M-lock for ammo. Of course, we can put our ambidextrous cheek riser on here. And of course, the accessory panel can be put onto the backside for you lefties as well. So all we have to do is we'll take and push that up, give her a little smack right there on the back. You know you've done that before. Introduce the Ranger Point Precision quick takedown screw. This quick takedown screw is toolless. You can use a quarter in your pocket or a key or whatever you got that'll fit in that slot. And it makes it so much easier to take these guns down, put them in a backpack or whatever. So that right there is done. And of course, we mentioned that we're going to do a Comet muzzle brake. Let's go ahead and lefty-loosey our thread protector. Removing that thread protector is super easy. We'll just set that aside, and we're going to take our Ranger Point Precision Comet muzzle brake. This is black nitrided. It'll reduce your recoil by about 25%. It's a solid investment. And of course, we can just go lefty-loosey. Now, I shoot this gun suppressed and all sorts of other stuff, so what I'm going to wind up doing is I'm just going to use the carbon that winds up in the threads, and I'm going to use that as my Loctite. Of course, if you wanted to, you can use some blue or purple Loctite for a little bit more of a semi-permanent attachment. So we hope that your installation was very simple. You're going to notice that this light and loading gate is incredibly lighter to push in and load the ammo. I welcome that because this gun probably sees 500 or 600 rounds every weekend I take it to some type of event, and it's going to be so much easier on my fingers as the vendor showing this to the customers that are looking at this thing for live fire. Of course, if you have any issues, please use the contact form at the top of the website or use support at rangerpointprecision.com. We hope you guys have a wonderful day. Now, I am going to go play with this beautiful 1854.